Like a lot of people, I've hopped on board the emulation train. In theory, it lets you explore the full catalog of retro gaming and frees you from the tyranny of owning physical media. It's certainly a great way to experience games like Sylphia or Magical Chase without having to spend hundreds of dollars to do so, or any TurboGrafx game at all, really, especially since my Turbo Duo died last year, leaving this rather beautiful corpse. I suppose I'd probably sell it at this point, unfortunately. But anyway, despite all this, I've somehow managed to spend a lot of this past spring and summer acquiring a whole mess of Famicom cartridges. I feel I have to blame Arcade USA for sparking this obsession in some way. They're, after all, very fascinating bits of plastic, not to mention intriguing bits of gaming history. So as a way of justifying this new collection of mine, I've embarked on this YouTube project in order to devote time to each of these games one by one. The first I've chosen is the one I've probably spent the most time with, which is Tower of Druaga. Now, it's possible you've come across this title in one of the various Namco collections that have been released over the years, and I suspect you probably overlooked it. Without some context, it may be hard to appreciate its genuine importance. Now, action RPGs are definitely one of my favorite gaming genres, and Dark Souls is undoubtedly my favorite modern series. As great as it is, it admittedly does stand so by standing on the shoulders of giants, the most obvious being the original Legend of Zelda from 1987. It took the traditional fantasy tropes of exploration and combat and made them accessible beyond the traditional RPG audience. But it too had its predecessors. The first and arguably most important was Atari's Adventure by Warren Robinette. It took inspiration from the likes of Colossal Cave Adventure, text-only games that ran on mainframe computers at the time, and translated them into something that was entirely graphical that you could play just with a joystick. So instead of typing pick up sword, you would just move your icon onto the sword, that sort of thing. In retrospect, it might seem obvious, but it was significant, important innovation at the time. Shortly after came a number of other attempts to translate the fantasy RPG into an action-driven video game. There was Advanced Dungeons and Dragons on Intellivision, based on the pen and paper RPG, which featured an overworld, procedurally generated dungeons, and items you had to collect in order to advance. Swords and Serpents on Intellivision was a top-down dungeon crawler that featured co-op multiplayer with 2 different character classes. Exidy's Venture turned the dungeon crawling experience into a tense arcade-style free-roaming shooter. While some years later, the Afshai series on computer and Coleco tried to earnestly incorporate more complicated RPG mechanics into its action-based gameplay. What all these titles have in common are basically being Western releases. In Japan, during the early 80s, the most significant action RPG title to precede The Legend of Zelda was undoubtedly the Namco arcade game, The Tower of Druaga. This was shortly ported to the Famicom as part of its very early catalog of game titles, and to great effect. Like most arcade games of the era, Tower of Druaga featured a vertical screen, but the dungeon scrolls horizontally, so the wider field of view on the Famicom version actually makes it the preferable way to play, really. On the surface, it may seem like a simple game, so it's an evolution of maze games like Pac-Man or something, but there's a hidden level of complexity underneath that is tied to the game's progression system that not only anticipates The Legend of Zelda, but also one of my favorite modern games, The Binding of Isaac. Hopefully I can explain exactly what I mean by all this when I actually get to playing it, which I'll do pretty much immediately. It's certainly one of the very first games that really required an FAQ, which I went so far as to print out for myself when I was first learning to play it. So with all that said, let's actually check out the game, play it. Okay, here we are at the title screen, and it scrolls over to a little preamble story, which I don't think was in the arcade version. I think the arcade version just had like a score table, like Pac-Man or something. So this is where we heard about the evil demon, Maiden Key, Prince Gilgamesh, Golden Armor, and you know the story. Let's go. Let's do this thing. I don't know how well the music's coming through. Unfortunately, it's just not direct capture, so you're probably mostly hearing my voice, unfortunately. So the levels on each, like the floor layout is different every time I start a game. It's procedurally generated, basically, kind of like the Binding of Isaac. So each floor has a key and a door. Now you can see I could very easily grab the key and go for the door, but on each floor there's also a hidden golden chest. So to make that appear on the first floor, I'm going to kill a few of these slimes. And there it is appearing. So the chest usually appears where you spawn on the level. So I got to mark all the way back. And you do go really slow to start with in this game. That's probably a big turnoff for a lot of people playing it for the first time. It is a huge bummer how slow your dude moves. And you got a timer counting down at the same time, which is really rough in the arcade version, I found. The timer ain't so bad here, but in the arcade version, I found it hard to even get past the first floor. So we're gonna head on down to the second floor now. So you probably noticed the combat in this game is sort of like a little bit like Ys. I had my sword held out. It's not like Zelda where you sort of mash the button and it comes out automatically. This is what happens if you mash the button, right? So you don't want to do it. You want to sort of hold it out or retract it to extend your shield, which isn't useful against these guys, but it does come in useful later. So the second floor, my main target to make the chest appear is going to be the black slimes. I'm going to be a little bit careful because these dudes jump. Yeah, so that sucks. Okay. This game is super hard. Okay, here we go. Yeah, second one. So like I said, this is a chest there. Oh, I just killed two. That's all I needed. There's probably like one key slime I needed to kill to make it appear. And getting this chest will get me the boots, the speed boost. Now I can actually move. The game is actually playable now. So if you make it to the second floor, you know, this game suddenly opens up a little bit. Okay, let's get going. Now I'm happy. Now the levels do look basically the same. Like, you know, you're not going to notice any graphical variations from level to level. It's all the same red bricks and the white lines. The monsters change every level though, of course. That's the main thing, really. So I can use the Matic here, get the key. But I'm going to go for these knights, because that'll get me the life potion, which is basically like a free one-up. There we are. Yes, a nice run to start with already. There's a lot of rant. Oop, let's not be foolish. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is where things start getting weird. Now, think about the fact that not only does the game not really tell you overtly about the golden chests, but the chests are different. Like, what you need to unlock them is different for every single level. So for level 4, I need to touch the door before I get the key to make the chest appear. How would you know that? You wouldn't. You would have to, you know, it's like Zelda. You have to talk to your friends and say, well, what do we do on this level? This is like one of the first games that required that level of information sharing. And you probably notice I'm not having my sword out because that wizard guy looks a lot, and looks, you know, it's a lot like the wizrobes from Legend of Zelda, right? You probably noticed that right away. Okay, now this is where things get tricky again. 5th floor, where I get my sword upgrade. To do that, I need to block the zaps from the wizards here. There's a... Oh, you probably noticed that sound. That's... darn it. That's the chime that I picked up on the 4th floor, the previous floor. I got a chime. It makes a noise that tells you what direction the key is in. Oh, god darn it. Gotta start paying attention. I definitely do want this sword. Okay, that's one. So I'm going to try to hang around close to the start here. As like I said, every time the chest appears, it basically spawns close to where you start the level. So if I can get it to appear right around here, then I won't have to march back to the chest. Like I said, it's... oof. Come on. I just got to get the right wizard to appear. There's no way to know which one it is, so it's just luck. And of course, the timer's counting down at the same time. Damn, this game's not being nice. Come on. You make me look bad in front of the YouTube. I really don't want to die here. At least, come on. There we go. Got it. Sword upgrade. Oh, well, okay. So that's game over. I'm going to give it one more run. And what makes it nice about this, with the continue function, I keep the stuff I collected, at least the stuff that isn't expendable. So the sword I got, the boots I got, the Matic I got, I still have it. So this will make this a little bit more breezy. We just scoot right past here. Get the Matic. Key. You see how much of a difference those speed boots make. Now, I think there are a total like 65 floors or 62 floors, something like that. And there's over 60 floors in this game. I've only ever made it to like floor 15 or 16, I think, in my best game. And I spent a lot of time playing this game, too. This is absolutely brutal. Okay, for the third floor, I'm going to go for the Knights again, to get, because again, I can get that free 1-up, which is an expendable, so I don't get that to carry over. And you do get a free guy at 50,000 points as well. There we go. See, that sword upgrade meant I could knock him out in a couple of hits instead of 3 hits. You probably noticed I didn't have my sword all the way extended. I don't know why I didn't. Why not just have it extend all the time on this floor? It's dumb to... Okay. Okay. Yeah, that was 3 hits. The combat in this game is it's a little weird. It's, you know, I can't I should have done it unless there's another. Yeah, there it is. Oh, but I have to. Okay, I think I have the Matic. I haven't used the Matic, right? So I just go through the top, Matic it, get the life up. There we go. Yeah, if I went through the bottom, I would have escaped the dungeon. I wouldn't have gotten the free guy. All right, what are we doing now? 4-4. I think I just need the key and get out. Oof. Yep, there we go. All right. So 5th floor is again. I just need to get out. That's all I need to do. Oh, I hate this. So I need to use my sword to get rid of the slime, but that leaves me vulnerable to the zaps because you either got your shield extended or your sword extended, and there's that sort of middle ground when you're sort of drawing your sword and it's sort of that animation. During that animation, you're vulnerable no matter what. You can't use the sword or shields. That's okay. So 6th floor is top. Touch the top of the screen, and then I get the candle. So again, it's another one. Like, how would you know that? How would you know you needed to touch the top of the screen to? Okay, what's the best way to do this? I need the key. Oh, bloody hell. I'm hoping I can make it at least to level 9, floor 9. As I feel like that's a perfect example of how crazy things get. I mean, this is kind of bad enough, the flames, but there are worse enemies than even these guys. Okay, this is... See, anytime you got to do combat and as well you got those Wizrobes guys around, that totally sucks. Ugh. Worst. I don't know what I can do. Okay, yeah, okay. I should have just used the Matic. I've already used the Matic. Oh, this sucks. Damn it. Excuse my language. Could have been worse when you think about it. Okay, let me just get past this level. That sucks. I hate... Yeah, there was no chance. Oh, well, it's my own fault, but... Alright, I think that's probably enough. Like I said, the problem is, you know, the dungeons to dungeons, they don't look any different. It's just the monsters that are different and the items you get are different. I like this game a lot. I played it a lot. I think a lot of it has to do with the way the progression works. Reminds me a lot of Binding of Isaac. It's got the same borderline unfairness with the way that the randomness kind of kicks into play, and the but it's demanding. But it's something about it is really fun. I really have come to enjoy this game a lot. It's probably the one I spent the most time with. So let's kick out of this and we'll get back to the still images. All right. All right, that was Tower of Druaga, the end of this episode. Thanks for watching, and very shortly, hopefully, we'll take a look at the sequel, which is actually a prequel called The Quest of Key. Although I'll probably use another cartridge next time, but I'll decide what that is when I get to it. So until next time, thanks for watching. Cool.